News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Brought to you by the Jason Momoa Chiropractic Clinic, home of the 5-second spinal realignment treatment. At the Jason Momoa Chiropractic Clinic, they guarantee you will leave a different person than the one who walked in. Severe back pain is only the beginning at the Jason Momoa Chiropractic Clinic.
Nothing's more fun, Allan. Just walk in, 5 seconds later, you don't know what you're walking out as.
Yeah, well, I noticed you went this week.
Your day will get interesting. Anyway, welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
And I'm Allan Gilbreth with GeekySideTV.com.
And we got our buddy Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And if you want to venture over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, you will see, Allan, that I've dutifully posted the must-have item of the week already. I didn't forget this week.
You didn't get behind this week?
No. I stayed focused, took care of business. So if you can't wait and you want to see what our must-have item of the week is, head over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, Allan. And they should. I don't want to get too heavy with the plugs. We got a busy morning ahead of us, so we're a little backed up on getting our guests in. The problem with our sponsors, Allan, they get very busy. They have lives outside of the
stuff
show
to do. Yeah.
But they made time this morning. We got our buddy Mike Sarafolean from Tri-State Interiors coming in, and then later in the show, our buddy Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration is coming in, and we've got questions. Mike's going to give us the history of the kitchen, or I should say the history of the modern kitchen.
Oh, it's on now.
Yeah, it was really hard to talk Allan into getting in on this discussion. I think I'm just going to sit back and watch you two flesh that out.
Just go get you a soda. We'll take care of this.
Science, Allan. We've got a little science story. You said it's you teased it. Plastic bricks for the home. Mm-hmm. It's going to be part of the recycling efforts that we've got going on. We have it quite a bit, but and we don't know what surprises our sponsors are going to bring in. So it's all coming at you today on Tool Talk Radio. But before we get to any of that,
and now Tool Talk Radio's weekly salute.
If you want to get something done, you have to be willing to dig in. When a high school student is preparing for their finals, they have to dig in and study if they want to do well. When Captain Kirk told Scotty that they needed warp power in 3 minutes or they were all dead, the Starfleet engineer had to dig in and find a quick solution. When Jackie Gleason forgot his lines during a live broadcast of The Honeymooners, he had to dig in and come up with some quick improvisation. That's a drinking game, Allan. If you can spot all the times he just made stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
What a classic. And, of course, at Allan Gilbreth's most recent dinner party, the theme of which was celebrating creatures of land, sea, and air. I know how he's going to celebrate. Allan was disappointed to find that many of his guests were hesitant to dig in to the sumptuous 5-course dinner he had prepared, which kicked off with an appetizer of pickled cow spleens wrapped in bacon, followed by a dandelion and cabbage salad, paired with a hearty bowl of owl liver soup, leading into the main course of boiled armadillo, and finishing off with a slice of durian fruit pie, topped with a buttercream frosting, lightly infused with the ink of a squid. Well, you got them all in there. I've heard of surf and turf, but I mean...
Well, possum on the half shell, baby. It is the bomb.
And there are times when we actually have to dig into the ground. For most of you, boy, what an awkward transition that was. That was just a hard boom. For most of human history, moving large amounts of earth and rocks was a backbreaking and difficult task for man and beast. In the year 1904, however, a new machine was introduced that would quite literally change the landscape of the world. My friends, we give you the bulldozer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what was life like before that, Allan? Tell us about life before the bulldozer. 1904.
You mean with all those big horses?
Yeah. I'm just thinking about it. I mean, now let's give credit where credit is due. Benjamin Holt, he's the guy that came up with this. Now this was a farming device. That's what nobody thought about it, using it to clear the way for skyscrapers and things like that. I guess that was sort of, that was still dug by hand, right? I mean,
well, goodness gracious for most of human history, almost all of the great structures you see out there were bedrocked inserted or foundationed by hand. If you can imagine 200 or 300 people out there with shovels or sand or pea gravel or whatever, setting up most of these massive structures.
Well, and I'm also thinking of those bucket chains. Like they're passing the buckets a lot. They fill up the bucket, pass it to the next one, and so. But apparently, what caused the revolution here, Allan, was the wheel traction. What do they call those? Like like that they used on tanks, because this soon got implemented for dividing. For tanks, for anything that had to go through a lot of mud and everything.
Well, all right, you just hit the key word. The secret there was, how do we get across the mud?
Right.
Because a narrow tire would dig in. So this guy came up with tractor treads.
Tractor treads, that's what we're talking about.
And basically, he was looking at how a caterpillar moved.
Oh, right. Ooh. Yeah, because these things aren't known for their speed, although a tank can get booking pretty well. But yeah, that's the thing.
But the thing is, it kept going.
It reminds me a little bit of like snowshoes, how it spreads out the weight and it distributes it, and it kind of makes it where you can stay on top of the snow with the snowshoes.
Thus, you could increase your productivity, work longer, and if you added lights to it, you could work into the night.
Yep, and it just seems like, it just seems like once you revolutionize the mobile part of it, it's going to have a lot of ramifications everywhere. I mean, I think, don't we even use variations of this when we're on the rovers on Mars?
Yes.
So good old Benjamin Holt. Way to go, sir. Thank you for the bulldozer. Well, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Allan, we're going to speaking of going back in history, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to come back with our buddy Mike Sarafolean from Tri-State Interiors and learn about the history of the modern kitchen.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Like something occluding your ear.
It's sawdust. Just blow.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I don't know why I always find that disturbing. Maybe because I always get sawdust jammed in my ear, Allan. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV and our pal Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, go to our Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Be sure to give us a like and share stories and share adventures with us, Allan. I'm very curious about this story we heard at the top of the hour of was it an Australian couple that accidentally burned their house down by trying to smoke out a snake? I mean, Australia, what is that? That's like Florida on steroids, right?
It's Florida squared.
It's Florida crossed with Jurassic Park. It's just, man,
everything in Australia wants you dead. That's all I gotta say.
We love our Australian brethren, but boy, do they got a squirrely country to live in, man.
It's kind of tough down there, man.
You know what else is tough, Allan? When you're, I don't know. Actually, I should say, you know what can be tough, but it doesn't have to be? Replacing your roof. You know, let's face it, the roof of your house is the key. I mean, the roof is everything. It protects your entire life, protects all of your, everything in the home, and you need to get it right. And you need a roofing system. These days, it's not about just throwing some shingles up there or some roofing tar. It is a complete system that not only keeps everything protected, but it also these are lifetime transferable warranties that you get on these roofing systems these days. And what you need to do is you need to call our buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, or if you have any roofing problems. They're accredited with the Better Business Bureau. They're a GAF Master Elite installer. They're certified by Good Housekeeping. They know their stuff. But the great thing about Jay is he is a former insurance agent and knows all about the process if you need to make a claim to replace your roof. Because, Allan, sometimes your homeowner's insurance is going to cover the majority of these expenses, and wouldn't it be nice to know that going in?
Well, the biggest thing here is you're protecting the value of your home, especially with the real estate market the way it is right now. The last thing you want to do is have a ding against you.
Yeah.
You know, you got that 30-year-old roof that looks a little sketchy, or you could have a GAF certified roof that transfers from one owner to the other.
That's the part that's amazing. I don't remember. I mean, growing up, I don't remember hearing about that. This
No,
seems like a newer dynamic.
That's an awesome feature.
That shows that they stand behind their roofing, and I can tell you, man, it really works. And you'll notice lower utility costs. You'll just notice you get compliments. Your neighbors will walk up to your house and tell you how great your roof looks. So
yeah, that's from personal experience, isn't it?
yeah. Well, I think what they were subtly saying is how horrible my former roof looked.
Yes, it did.
Anyway, get in touch with our buddy Jay Hill. You can call him directly at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. All right, Allan, it's time to welcome our pal, Mike Sarafolean. Mike, hey, with Tri-State Interiors. Mike, it's always good to have you here, man.
Good morning, guys.
Sounds a little off. Give him some water, Allan. I was thinking about something. I've noticed that in my notes, like when I'm texting or something, Allan, I'm texting you and I'm saying, hey, we've got our buddy Mike Sarafolean coming in tomorrow. You know how they said Shakespeare could never spell his name the same way twice? Like, I just have a mental block with how to spell your name, Mike. It's no offense. Now, I always get Tri-State Interiors right, but have you heard that growing up? Has your name been problematic for people?
Oh, yeah. It's they've mispronounced it, misspelled it. I used to tell my mom if I ever have a daughter, I'm going to name her Sarah.
Oh, great. Just to torment just to pass the pain from one generation. So Sarah Sarafolean.
Yeah.
Like Bond, James Bond,
Yeah,
right?
that would work. I don't know, Joe Thor Darson. How many times have you had trouble with your name?
Oh, I know. I just spell my name. Yeah, I mean, I say it's Joe, and then I say, let me just spell the last name. So, well, Mike, this is interesting. You run Tri-State Interiors, you remodeling the kitchen and the bathroom. That's the biggest. I mean, honestly, is there anything bigger on the inside of your home to not only increase the value of your home, but also just that is like the most all-encompassing project because everybody uses both of those rooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every day. So, but this is going to be interesting, Allan, and I know you're already rubbing your hands together. You and I were talking last night, Mike. You said it might be interesting to discuss the history of the modern kitchen. We're not going to go back, 500 years to when they wwere using a fire or smoking because, honestly, we could just keep going back.
All right, Joe, you could go back 10,000 years all the way up to about 1880. And
Right.
it's pretty much the same kitchen.
Well, and that's the thing, and all of us have actually seen. We live in Memphis, which has got some history to it. You might walk into a kitchen and see things from like the 1800s, right? Even to this day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the kitchen, the placement of the kitchen, and the design of the kitchen really has evolved since, Allan said, from like the 1880s. I mean, you can go back, 200, 400,000 years ago, they were using primitive hearths.
Yeah.
When Allan was a kid.
Oh, here we go. Okay, Mike's
He's
getting
firing
into
the
those.
first shot.
So yeah, let's talk
All
about
right, well,
this.
I'm going to pick on, I'm going to throw one of my favorite semi-local of architectural beauties to go look at. If you go to Vicksburg, Mississippi, they have a house that has been there since the mid-1700s, and it's called the Mcraven House.
Yep.
And one of the huge features that people lose their mind over is the kitchen is not in the house. The kitchen is out back. It looks like a fortress.
I think
The
you
house
mentioned
is
this
beautiful.
before.
The kitchen is this fortified brick structure in the back.
Yeah.
And that's because most homes, would burn down.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's hot. You don't have air conditioning, so why make the house even hotter?
Yeah.
So
Well, Joe, it's you mentioned the heat, and it's in colonial America we used the kitchen was an outbuilding, or it was behind a parlor, behind a dining room. But in the South, with the heat of the summer and the heat of the kitchen, it wasn't uncommon for it to be an outbuilding, and that worked two ways. It protected the house from a fire because there was always a fire in the kitchen.
Sure.
And then also it kept the heat out of the living quarters.
yeah, no, it sounds great. So let's get a little more modern. You said things sort of shifted in the 20s. Is that right?
Yeah, around the 1920s. Back in the late 1800s or around 1800 is when we started getting away from heat and cooking in the same place. And then in the 1920s, if you lived in the city, that's when the real modern kitchen started developing. There were actually these kitchens in Frankfurt, Germany, that were focused at minimizing the amount of housework for working women, because that's when women are starting to enter the workforce more, and it's not you're not going to have all day to sit there and cook and clean and
right.
So
yeah. Well, I was thinking about this, you guys. So it's like, how we talk about, I don't know if you want to call them epochs or transitional phases in society. Like, I'm just thinking what a societal shift it was when you introduced the cell phone. Okay, the cell phone changed everything. Or you could almost even start with the pager, but the pager and the cell phone, suddenly you're able to be contacted remotely. Well, and then, of course, the smartphone changed that. And I feel like in the kitchen, there's probably those pivotal points in history, right, that have been that game-changing that shifted everything.
And that was the icebox.
Talk to me.
Well, suddenly, you had the commercial capability. We had production facilities that could make ice.
Yeah,
So
think about that.
We're rolling. We're past World War I. We're now in the production of the ability to cool something.
Right.
So now, to make housing more compact, you could now store food, somewhat fresh food, for more than a day. So you didn't have to go to the market every single day to get your fresh bread and your fresh milk and your fresh eggs. And the other thing that happened was delivery began. Because now, thanks to the Ford Motor Company and a few others, Dodge and a couple of others, they began making delivery vans. So now you could have milk dropped off at your door every morning, and now you had to have someplace to put it.
I got a question, or I just want to insert something, folks. If you ever want to see something fascinating, Allan, I know you've watched this. Mike, I don't know if you've seen this documentary. It's called, I think it's called The Food That Changed the World, or Changed America. Changed America. And it talks about the development of some of the, like the Hershey's company or Heinz. But the big one that I'm thinking of with what Allan said was, what was the one that came up with freeze drying food, or like
Bird's Eye?
Bird's Eye, and they were talking about what it was like before that, with people getting meat that was not fresh or anything. So
I'm sorry, I think it was Swanson, actually.
Swanson. Okay, but yeah, that is game changing, because in those days, what did you do? I mean, you went down to the butcher and hope for the best, and
Well, exactly. And now suddenly you had this kind of spot you had to make in your house to have a place to put this ice box. And originally it was literally a box that you put ice in the top and the cold melted down.
Yeah, I've seen The Honeymooners, Allan.
Yeah.
Okay. I know Alice Cramden's life. Yeah. So, but that is. So that would definitely be an epoch or a game-changing thing.
That was massive.
Yeah. So
absolutely massive.
Okay. Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, we're going to kind of continue to explore the history of the kitchen. It is sort of interesting, and I guess that's going to kind of lead us, Mike, into what we're looking at today, because I'll tell you, you walk into a kitchen today, even from 5 years ago, it's sort of revolutionary. Pretty interesting stuff, man. Well, we hope you think this is interesting stuff. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Just a few more seconds of mental preparation and I'll be painting this wall.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I wish Allan would do some mental preparation and realize that the break's over, sir. You can't keep talking. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV, and our pal Max behind the glass, and our friend Mike Sarafolean from Tri-State Interiors. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And you can also go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like. Check out our must-have item of the week there. And also, if you go to tooltalkradio.com, Allan, they can check out all of our past shows.
They most certainly can. Dive in, catch up on all of the past episodes, and even better, you can now take us with you. We are now featured on Spotify, so just go to tooltalkradio.com, click that Spotify button, and you can binge to your heart's content.
Absolutely. So, hey, so we got our buddy Mike Sarafolean, as we said, from Tri-State Interiors. We're going to talk about Tri-State Interiors in a bit, but Mike, this is interesting. You did a bunch of research, and actually, I guess you already know a lot of this information anyway. You're kind of walking us through the history of the kitchen, and, well, really the history of the modern kitchen. And you've got a bunch of notes there, and I thought let's talk about some of these items. We're talking off air about some of these pivotal moments in kitchen history, and they're pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. There's we were talking about the 1920s before the break, and one thing that they did in some kitchens in the 20s was they would paint them monochromatic blue.
Huh.
And the reason for that was flies didn't perceive the blue as being a solid color, so they wouldn't land on it.
It reminds me of that Simpsons episode where they painted it blue, the building blue, and planes and helicopters kept flying into it. Is that the same?
So it's kind of the same idea, but I mean, we really don't realize how pampered we are today. Because if you didn't have air conditioner, you had the windows open, you had everything was open, and the outside, if it wanted to come inside, it came on in.
Yeah, that's interesting. So somebody had to do a study, and I bet somebody got a grant to study that flies do not perceive blue as a solid color. So anyway, what else you got, Mike? That's interesting.
The first refrigeration system, it was a compressed refrigerant, was used in households in 1913 for the first time.
Wow,
man!
It was invented in the mid 1800s. But it took, 70 some years to
compress the technology down to something that would fit in your home.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. I was going to say, because, I mean, Allan, you were talking earlier about the ice box. Well, one of us was talking about the actual ice box. And then I'm thinking that, the honeymooners was in the 50s, and we saw them using an ice box. So maybe it didn't catch on immediately. Maybe not everybody had one.
Well,
right.
I mean, you got to remember the price. I mean, you could have a subscription to the ice delivery service, and they would come every couple of days and dump the water bucket and put you a fresh plunk of ice in the top of it.
Yeah.
And eventually, as people moved or the job improved or whatever, they would then purchase that new fancy refrigeration device.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And but then you also had to make room for it. And keep in mind, you also had to be able to deliver the device to where you lived.
Yeah.
So if you lived in a high rise or something that had stairs, that suddenly you get into all kinds of logistics that go to every single change.
Hey, Max, make a note of this, because you're very good at remembering things. This would be an interesting discussion, because I'm thinking in between that time when they invent the refrigeration technology to when everybody can actually afford it, I bet you, Mike, there was a lot of businesses that would say, okay, well, we'll in the corner of our freezer, we'll store some meat and everything for you, and you for a fee you could just get some company to store it for you. Maybe your local butcher, you pay him a certain amount of money. I bet you there were a lot of businesses like that back in the day.
I would imagine there was. Like I said, it was first used in 1913 in kitchens, but it wasn't really until the 1940s that we saw those refrigerators and electric kettles and those everyday appliances that we think of now.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. What do you got next on your list, sir?
Well, just how colors change. In the 1930s, the kitchen colors were, blues and yellows, and then the 1940s, they went to white, blue, red, and yellow. Kind of patriotic yellow. Keep it positive and happy. And then in the 1950s, they went to soft pastels, turquoise, cadet blue, Sherman green, stuff like that.
I have a theory about that. Not to interrupt, Mike, but I have a theory about that, because we've probably all done this. You're removing wallpaper, or you're stripping some paint, and you come across, like on an older home, and you come across all these paint colors, and you're like, why on earth were the cabinets this pink color? It looks horrible. I have a theory, because if you look at television, like I've heard on like the Dick Van Dyke Show, for example, that show is in black and white.
Right.
But if you were in studio, those colors were pretty funky. They were a lot of those pinks and everything, because I guess they showed up well on camera, and they gave you that distinction. So maybe it became connected in people's mind with the glamour of Hollywood and everything with these colors. I don't know. It's just a theory.
Yeah.
Well, you're actually pretty close to being on the money, because when they took the color pictures of this, because remember your big medium for your home was the magazines.
Oh, good. Yeah. So if they're taking a picture of,
So
Leave
they
It to
went
Beaver
to the
or Dick
set,
Van Dyke.
right?
Yeah.
They went to the set, and of course they have these bright green counters,
Right.
Because they looked good in black and white. But everybody went, "Oh, look at how bright that color is."
Oh, okay.
And people were loving to experiment. Now, right after World War II, keep in mind, all the GIs and everybody came back after seeing what Europe did.
Oh, okay.
So if you had been stationed in Italy, there was all the sands and taupes and all those colors contrasted with really bright colors. Or if you had been in Spain, or if you had been in Germany, you brought back those colors and formats. And that's when we really had an explosion of, also because of the Eisenhower Project, of being able to get product across the country.
Yeah, things just really, man, they exploded. So, yeah. I'm curious, though, Mike. You mentioned something from the 40s called the triangle system that really caught our attention. So,
Yeah.
What is that?
So in the 1940s, the kitchen triangle concept developed, and that is that there's a triangle in between the sink, the refrigerator, and your cooktop, stove, your cooking element. And that is still very popular and very relevant today. In the 1950s, the U-shaped kitchen gained popularity. And then, Allan, just to what you were talking about with bright colors, my mom lived in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Oh, there you go.
She lived in a townhouse that was built in around the 1940s, 1950s, and was military housing for officers.
Ah.
And they still had, and this was up until a couple years ago, they still had laminate countertops that were trimmed in chrome.
Yes.
Dating back to the 1940s and 1950s.
That is so retro at this point. At this point, you walk in, you see a house like that. My first instinct is, please tell me you're preserving this.
Yeah, that's that mid-century modern homes. That
it's just so cheesy and campy, and yet still so indicative. Because we were looking forward to the future being anything, and you got to remember the kitchen kind of reflected the cars at the time, because the cars were getting bigger and had the chrome and the shine and the look. So, a lot of, when you unpack one thing, it's amazing how the dominoes begin to fall and go, why did we have this now? Well, we had this now because we could probably even get it home, because we also had, besides the Sears catalog, which was, you looked at the catalog, it was now in color.
Yeah.
People forget the impact. All right, for everybody listening that's less than 50 years old, the Sears catalog was the internet of about 100 years.
Yeah.
Because you ordered anything from a house to chickens.
Yeah.
Through that catalog. And people would look at it and be like, okay, but now you could go to the store and see it.
Yeah. But that triangle system, Mike, that reminds me that they're starting to look at the ergonomics of the kitchen, and then of course that leads into like those McDonald brothers that founded McDonald's restaurant. How they were they came up with that Speedy system based on ergonomic flow, you could say. So, hey, Mike, before we go to break, tell us real quick, how do you get in touch with Tri-State Interiors? Because maybe people want to call you and get a history lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. You can call or text 901-409-1333. Go to the website, www.tristateinteriors.llc.com.
Okay, awesome. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I'm always thinking one step ahead, like a carpenter that makes stairs.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
But what happens when you get to the top step, Allan?
You're done.
Okay. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV, and our pal Max behind the glass, and our friend Mike Sarafolean with the impossible-to-spell last name from Tri-State Interiors. Mike, you've been giving us a really interesting history lesson of sort of the modern kitchen. And some of the game-changing inventions that have happened. And we're going to continue that discussion, but I want to pull back a little bit and actually talk about what you guys do modern day. Because Tri-State Interiors, one of the reasons we're fans of the work you do is sort of your policy of the number one focus is on craftsmanship, obviously, as it should be, but also keeping your overhead low, which benefits the customer. I mean, that is the whole push, right? Because customers pay for the overhead, and the whole operating principle of you don't you don't remove anything until all of the items are all of the pieces you need are in your warehouse and stuff. Just good, solid business practices, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we also we focus on sourcing materials locally, regionally as much as possible. We can do your kitchen remodel and your cabinets, your countertops, your tile, your plumbing fixtures can all be made in Tennessee.
That's kind of cool. We don't push that enough, Allan. I've been remiss because that is a neat. You're kind of helping fellow Tennesseans, but also let's face it, you probably get the materials quicker. We talk about all these supply chain issues. So
yeah, and then you're not paying shipping charges.
Right. Yeah, it's cool. And you might even be able to go visit the shop where this stuff's being made, right?
Well, we have amazing number of artisans and craftspeople all throughout the South, and Tennessee especially. We are just blessed with just an amazing array of capabilities and companies. And, in Tennessee, we kind of forget that there's other sections of the state. Because we're divided
down in
by
the bottom
river.
Corner,
But we've got an east, a middle, and a west, and each one has so much to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Tennessee's a great state. I mean, I've lived in a lot of places, Mike. I've even lived in California, and I've really grown to appreciate the Mid-South and just the vibe and just the culture out here. It's just it's cool, man. But the other thing, Mike, you guys are also pretty high tech. I think these 3D renderings that you've always showed us those are neat, and I'm sure the customers really enjoy those too, right?
Oh yeah, it's a game changer. Back in the 40s, 50s, you see these old salesman samples, and it's like a cutaway of a kitchen, and they have these little model like sink bases and dishwashers, and here you want a window, and it's just hanging on this cardboard, and you just have to visualize it that way. Whereas now we can do a 360-degree panoramic rendering and put you in the kitchen.
It's cool, man. And you can have it on your phone, and you can have it on your I guess one thing I was curious about, too, so basically you could take a tour of your kitchen or your bathroom, and like you say, you do these 360-degree tours. Well, what I'm wondering, Mike, have you had a lot of people where I guess I'm just thinking of okay, you get set on a design, and then a week later you get a call, and it's like, well, my best friend said such and such, and my mother-in-law said such and such, and she suggested maybe changing the tile or changing this or something. Do you get a lot of that where people might change their design after they've consulted with a lot of other people? Or
yeah, I mean, it's
which isn't always a good. Don't share with too many people, folks. But yeah, I'm wondering if that happens. So.
Whoever is important to you, more than welcome to get input, and we can revise the rendering. It's an investment in your home, in your family, and making your life easier. So you want to make sure to get it right.
Well, the good thing about that, too, because I'm always teasing about mother-in-laws and stuff, they might actually come up with really good ideas. So, I'm always, throwing them under the bus, but they may have some really good input too.
And this is why I always tell everybody I refer over, go ahead and get the render now.
Right.
Let's get this process rolling, because over the next, all right, well, you're thinking maybe I'm going to do this next year, and I'm going to do this maybe when the summer gets here so we can go on vacation and, they can have the house.
Oh, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Get the ball rolling now. And I'm going to throw this in for exactly that reason, because right now your heart is set on dark counters, light cabinets, and a dark floor. And 3 months from now, I promise you could change your mind.
Not even 3 months from now. The family comes to Christmas dinner. Hey, we're gonna get these dark hardwood floors, and they go, oh no, don't do that. We just redid our floors, and here, look at these pictures. How beautiful is this?
Right. Yeah. No, I think actually that's a good point, Allan, because if you get the rendering now and you just let it marinate a little bit, and you start talking to people and you show it, and what's cool, you just basically pull it up on your phone, right? So you could be out on vacation and you come across some neat feature that you've seen and you go, hey Mike, can you plug this in, and just change up. So that feature alone, to me, like you said, is game changing, because looking at blueprints, well, for one thing, making blueprints is a lot of work. They still don't give you the feel, I guess, that this gives you. The average person can't look at a blueprint and really get the same feel for what this is actually going to look like.
Yeah, and some people, I can say, okay, we'll do this and this and this, and they can't. They have a hard time visualizing it.
Yeah. No, it's great, man. So how do people get in touch once again with you guys?
You can call or text 901-409-1333. You can send me an email, Mike, M-I-K-E, at tristateinteriorsllc.com, or visit the website, www.tristateinteriorsllc.com.
Absolutely. So, hey, Mike, hey, Allan, I think Mike's, he's going to be our historian of the show. You said you were a history major, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I like these history lessons we're getting in the kitchen. I can't wait to hear the bathroom history when maybe next time you visit us. But
so much to talk about in there.
Throw a few more of these fun facts at us about kitchen and stages from history.
Yeah, so like the 1960s, the pastels from the 50s kind of bled over into the 60s, and towards the end of that decade, we transitioned to the copper tones and the harvest golds, and then you get into the 1970s, which is, oh my God,
the Brady Bunch. Oh my gosh! So
keep in mind, color television landed.
Yeah,
is
that what it was? Because man, did they
color TV? Color TV really didn't get going good in this country until the late 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and
that's
going
true.
into the 70s, now if you think about it, a major piece of furniture was the television console.
Yeah, because it wasn't a little flat screen.
No,
it
this
was
thing
a
came
big
in a
cabinet.
giant wood box.
Right.
Yeah, it was the console, and it changed the atmosphere of the living room. It changed how we laid stuff out, and now we had the whole TV dinner thing happening. But people could now see so much more. And it began instantly being reflected in what we like to call that 70s style.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah. I feel like they made good music in the 70s, but boy, home construction and and design and it was not.
It was kind of the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
Joe got his workout getting up to change the TV station.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Before you had the.
You were the remote control.
Yeah.
But 70s.
In the 1970s, Apartment Therapy magazine, I guess, called the 70s a riot of color.
Oh, it was.
And this is when you had
a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
Our friends over at Kohler decided that we're going to do the acid green sinks and tubs. There was actually a guy out in Lucy, out by Millington, that called me, and he built this house in the 70s, and he wanted the bathroom finished. He had 2 bathrooms upstairs. One was finished, one wasn't. And I was like, you built this house 40 years ago. You haven't finished the bathroom? He goes, no. I was like, okay.
I got busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I go, okay, well, I'll come out and I'll take a look at it. And so it's just this room, studs and
Right.
And here's this avocado green tub.
Yes.
And I said, are we going to get a new tub? He goes, no, I have the matching toilet and vanity.
Oh, my gosh.
Wait, so they're building one sin upon the other? Is that what's going on? That sounds.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know, man.
And I said, well, okay, if you want to use it. He goes, and guess what? I even have the original cast iron fittings that you can use.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like,
I don't know, man. I might be tempted to walk away in that situation.
You know what? I would have to do it. If I had all the stuff, I would have to build the retro room.
Oh, yeah.
It would have to be done. And just put the sign on the door. This is the retro room.
Do you sign a non-disclosure with that? Or not a non-disclosure, like, do not attach my name to this in any way. But.
You sign a waiver to use it?
Right.
Yeah.
He took me to the other bathroom upstairs that was finished, and he had tile countertops and the red Kohler vanity sinks.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I don't know, man.
Wow.
Yeah, the 70s, let's just move along. I hope that stuff's not making a comeback. Now, I know there's a lot of 80s stuff being revived, the greatest decade of the 20th century, in my opinion. I'm a child of the 80s, but is any of that stuff coming back, Mike? Any 80s designs?
The 80s designs are kind of still with us. That's when the kitchen island was popularized. It wasn't invented then, but it was popularized. There's the white kitchen started then. There was whites.
Yeah, I
and
remember
all
they
tones.
were much lighter back then. In those days, the 80s. I remember, Allan. You could, if you know what it was, they'd say, "I want you to paint my house," and you just get a 5-gallon bucket of off-white. Everything was just off-white, as I recall. So, well, Mike, hey man, you have now been dubbed the Tool Talk Radio historian. Let's get some more of these every time you come in, man. This has been great. So.
Yeah, and just to finish up on the 80s, one thing is. Thing of Home Alone, tile countertops. Thankfully, that is what has stayed in the 80s.
Amen, brother. You're listening. Well, we're staying in the 80s here on Tool Talk Radio. We'll never leave. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then our buddy Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration is dropping in.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV and our pal Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. Or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Well, go there anyway. Give us a like. It is actually, Allan, I should say, the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page is sort of the one-stop shop. You can go there. You can give us messages about your home improvement adventures or triumphs, or track down that story about the Australian couple that accidentally burned their house down trying to smoke out a snake. And the other thing is you link up the show, because for those people that are crying into their cereal, Allan, because they overslept this morning and they missed the first hour of Tool Talk Radio, never fear, right? Because they can check out our past shows.
All they got to do is click on the link. It'll take you over to tooltalkradio.com, and all of our shows are posted there. And the best part is you can go ahead and click that Spotify button and take us with you.
Yeah, and when you do go to Spotify, make sure you give us a review. That always helps. Give us a 5-star review. Lie if you have to. Tell people what a great show we are. And you can subscribe to the show and give those reviews actually, they do help, and they give us a little more cachet with Spotify. So, hey, Allan, real quick, too, before we bring in our pal Larry Brown, what's going on over at Geeky Side TV? Because there's always something new, right?
Well, we got a little bit of everything going on right now. Of course, our current big hit is Storytime by Scott J. Carroll. So it's a little animated feature with him just telling telling stories from his existence.
Yeah, which sounds really lame, but it's actually it's very entertaining, folks.
The fate that happened to that poor soda machine is way too funny. That's all I got to tell you.
You know what I think? I think the fact that he focuses on the mundane, it makes it interesting because all of us have mundane things in our lives, and it's kind of reminds me of a lot of Max, I know you're interested in like Buddhist monks and things like that, right? And they do the same thing. They focus on mundane,
like the execution of the mundane and the way I actually heard it put really well was in The Last Samurai, Tom Cruise's character was like, from the moment they get up and everything, they dedicate themselves to the perfection of whatever they're doing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Even if it's setting the table, or if it's washing the dishes, or if it's
making a cup of tea.
Yeah, the tea ceremony.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, on the flip side of that, we have the other complete train wreck that we're filming right now. If you'd like to see a sneak preview of it before it gets to television, you can sneak over to darkoakmedia.com or darkoakpress.com, and you can watch some opening episodes of It Came from the International Market.
Yeah, that's where you get a lot of passive aggressive and a lot of Allan being,
I just get to be me. I go shop at the International Market, and my lucky volunteers have to taste whatever I bought for them.
Yeah, you're one of those guys that there's always an agenda behind your gift giving. There's a reason why you give people certain things, and it's not necessarily out of generosity. It's out of what amusement can I get out of this?
It is out of humor.
Yeah.
If you want to see something really, really funny, check out It Came from the International Market.
Okay. Geeky Side TV. And, of course, if you're a content creator, get in touch with Allan because you may be the next Geeky Side star out there.
You could indeed.
Okay. Hey, let's shift gears. Let's talk to the man who keeps the lights on around here, the one that's helped bring us this beautiful new studio that we're enjoying here at 98.9 The Roar, Memphis, Larry Brown. Larry, good to have you in the house, man.
Well, good morning, guys. It's a kind of a dreary morning today, but, it's still good.
Hey, man.
I'm glad to be here.
You are a tough guy to get in the studio. Larry's been on cue for the last 3 weeks, Allan, and he's like, sorry, I'm busy. I can't.
Yeah, Larry's been a busy man.
Well, I've been busy. You guys probably don't know anything about deer season, but that's where I've been. So.
Okay. Oh, so that's it. Okay, because he makes it sound like, sorry, work and
Larry,
all this other.
We need to talk.
Okay, that's what's going on.
So, yeah, I've been doing a little hunting and been doing some pretty good. Did pretty good, too. So I'm proud of myself. So
well, good for you. We've been keeping things going over here, Larry, while you're doing that. So, and I noticed you still didn't bring your wife in. Is that is that because she oversleeps, or does she have enough sense to stay clear of this thing?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. So, but she's not a real morning person, but I'm gonna get her up one morning and bring her into the show.
We need to make this happen. So, Larry, we're gonna be talking. Allan, I know you've got something you want to bring up with Larry, right? Especially mornings like this.
Yeah, we are definitely going to talk moisture control when we come back.
Yeah.
Oh, huge issue, especially in our area here, is moisture issues. So it'll be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, and really, Larry, it's nice having you here for the full hour because there's things I feel like we've been a little remiss, or maybe I've been remiss on some of these things. We want to zero in. I wouldn't call these mundane. I want to zero in on some of the actual nuts and bolts of what goes on at Brown Refrigeration in terms of like these tune-ups that we can get and the smart home system and the Remy Halo and all that. So we're going to unpack that. And you brought us specials, right? Why don't you give us your specials real quick, Larry?
Well, excuse me. I'll try to get them done fast. So we've got our normal tune-up special, $69.99 for your first furnace, $39.99 for each additional unit. Winter's not even starting until December, so you're still technically in fall. So take advantage, get your furnace tuned up. There's lots of things that can go wrong, and they needs to be tuned up. Make sure it's efficient and safe to operate. If you're interested in a Remy Halo, $100 off on a Remy Halo system.
Okay, can't beat it. So. All right. Well, so stand by, everybody. If you've got any HVAC questions or smart home questions or moisture control questions, it's all coming at you. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I wonder if they're fraternal or identical tools.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I thought we banned those clowns from the studio. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, and our pal Max behind the glass, and the man who keeps the lights on around here himself, Larry Brown. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, give us a like, send us messages that way. Actually, we'll answer in real time. You know, Allan, you do get a lot of texts and things during the show.
Oh, I do.
I don't know. Is there anything you can say on the air in reaction to some of the texts that are rolling in?
Well, you know, actually, a couple of people just went and checked out Scott J. Carroll and texted me to say, oh, my goodness, this is funny.
Okay, you're not supposed to do that, people. You're supposed to listen to the whole show and then go check these things out. Maybe we ought to make a stipulation. Okay.
But no, it's been everything's been positive this morning. Of a lot of fun talking about the history and design, and you know, it's never a bad thing to learn why we do something this way now.
Yeah, our buddy Mike Sarafolean with Tri-State Interiors was giving us a little history lesson of some of the developments in the modern kitchen, and he barely scratched the surface. He had and so he is actually a history major, and I think that's going to be his thing now. When he comes in, he's going to give us history lessons about your kitchen and your toilet. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I got
and your bathroom, which
there's a lot there.
Yeah,
it's a big surprise. It's and I'm gonna look at Larry and go, you know, the history that got us to modern air conditioning is, you know, a long and convoluted road. But I'm gonna open this up with a small argument I had with a client/friend this week. They're getting ready to be gone all week. They were looking at the weather. And they're like, yeah, we're just going to open up the windows. We're gonna be gone for a week. It'll be great to not have an electricity bill and blah, blah. You know, they're going on and on about how great this plan was. And I'm sitting there just shaking my head going, no, this is a terrible idea.
I'm just security-wise, too. But, Larry, what does your mind go to with that? Because I'm thinking there's a lot of issues.
Well, my thing was it's going to be 70, 80% moisture all week, plus it's going to rain over the weekend. By the time you get back, the inside of your house is going to be at 70, 80% moisture.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're exactly right. And, I mean, you know, we have heating and air conditioning systems in our home to control the environment. And not only does it control the temperature, but it also controls the moisture content. And, you know, you can't just leave your house unconditioned. So you don't need to, if you go on vacation, please don't turn your unit completely off. Don't open the windows. You know, maybe in the summer you can set it up to 80. In the winter, set it to 60. But, you know, don't go off and leave it it's totally turned off, or worse off, leave the windows open. Because you're going to go home to like a musty smelling house that is going to have a lot of moisture, could promote mold, mildew growth. Mm-hmm. I mean, just, you know, that's why we have heating and air conditioning systems, because we control the climate in our homes. So you got to do that whether you're there or not. So just leave your system on, set it up, set it back, whatever. But don't turn it off, and please don't leave the windows open. Okay. Now, if you want to open the windows on a nice spring day when it's nice and pretty, you want to get some fresh air, or even a fall day when it's a nice sunny day.
Oh yeah,
sure. You know, open them up. You know, ventilate your home. You know, get some fresh air in, but don't leave it like that for an extended period of time, because it's just going to cause you problems.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many things wrong with that scenario, Allan. I was just thinking about that, and then that stale air that just sits there and everything. Even if it wasn't as muggy as it is here.
They were so excited. They were just like, you know, ears were up, tails were wagging. They were all, yay, we got this great plan, and I'm like, that is just the worst thing I've ever heard of. You know, well, you know, we won't even talk about squirrels. You know, but
oh yeah.
Well, hopefully they have screens or something. But
yes.
Like, you know, Joe had mentioned too, just from a security standpoint of leaving your window open.
Yeah,
that's probably not the best idea, especially in our community. But you know, but the whole flip side is the environmental issue. Just, you know, keep your home conditioned, control your climate, your home is going to thank you for it.
Well, I want to ask you about something, Larry, because I don't think we bring up, there's a lot of dynamics at play here. So you're basically talking about air that is full of moisture and is not moving. Is that pretty much what we're talking about?
Well, exactly right. But the more important thing is the moisture. Okay. So
right.
When you get a lot of moist air in your home, your wood, if you have hardwood or other wood in your home, it's going to swell. Your fabrics, all your linens, all that kind of stuff is going to absorb a lot of moisture. It could cause a really musty smell in your home. Cause your furniture to swell, your wood, hardwood floors. It's just not a good idea to go off and leave it uncontrolled for any extended period of time.
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at. It's like, because you might have the greatest HVAC system in the world or something, but if you've got a room maybe that's cluttered and stacked with things that are keeping the air from moving, like I'm thinking of a lot of beds. Like you might have a bed that's the covers go down to the floor, and you're creating like a little pocket down there where there's no airflow, or even maybe under some desks, or there's a lot of areas or closets or things where there's no movement and you've got moisture and things like that's what I wanted to talk about. How do you circulate the way you keep the air circulating also has a lot to do with how you lay the house out, right?
Well, it does, but obviously if you're keeping it a conditioned space, then you're going to eliminate a lot of the issues you talked about, unless you had a closet that was exposed to the outside, and you kept the door closed, and the temperatures could fluctuate quite a bit. But you do want to again keep your climate controlled in your home, the temperature, and that's going to help control the moisture, and you're going to be a lot better off than just leave it at unconditioned or unclimatized.
Did you make that word up? Is that
No, I didn't.
Unclimatized. That's the new name for the band, obviously. We know that. So,
well, it's just plus there's a certain comfort level that the average person these days is just used to, and that is about 50% humidity, if I recall.
Well, the ideal humidity is about 50. So acceptable levels are between 40 and 60%. So obviously 50 is right in the middle of that. So that would be the ideal humidity that we would have. But 40 to 60%. Normally in the winter months, we're going to drop down below 40. So if you're really concerned about it, you can add a humidifier to add moisture to your air. They're not super popular in this area because we don't have extreme winters. But when you go further up north, a lot of cold winters, the humidifiers are very popular. Because, when you remember as a kid, you would shuffle your feet on the floor and it would have static electricity. Yes. That's caused by low humidity. So it's, again, you want to keep the humidity between 40 and 60%. That's the ideal conditions.
Yeah, I remember growing up in Chicago, we had humidifiers because, man, you get in for about 5 months out of the year, too, which just don't get me started on that. So, hey, Larry, how do these tie in with the I'm sorry, I want to back up. I want to shift a little bit to these Remy Halo systems. When were these things invented? Because, today we've been talking about history, and I feel like that Remy Halo system is a game-changing invention. But when did that come about?
Well, Remy Halos spun off of the ultraviolet lights, UV lights. So UV lights are actually invented from the old tuberculosis wards that, when people would have tuberculosis, they would send them to a special hospital. So there really wasn't any treatment. And so they found that using these ultraviolet lights would help control the tuberculosis germs. Mm-hmm. And so then they've kind of expanded over the years. And then Remy Halo actually kind of added some stuff to it to where it's kind of like a UV light on steroids. It really does a great job. And especially with the COVID, it is proven to kill the COVID virus. So if it seems like we get the COVID, it's the Delta variants. That seems like we kind of got that behind us.
Yeah.
And then now there's a new variants. So, this COVID is going to be around for quite a while, unfortunately. And, if you're concerned about your indoor air quality and this mitigating that COVID virus and other viruses too, like the flu and other items, add a Remy Halo to your home, and it's going to help control that 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. All that. I mean, we really do live in remarkable times, Alan. I'm just thinking, even 100 years ago, I don't know how much they had in the way of moisture control or the way, I don't know. What did it smell like 100 years ago? I know there's a lot more tobacco smells and stuff. I mean,
bad.
No
So,
kidding.
we had wood stoves and we had windows and maybe, if you were lucky, an attic fan. For the summer months.
I'd love to point out, human history did not smell good.
Yeah,
no, absolutely not. So even the humans of the past probably didn't smell as good as we do today. So,
no, yeah.
But we've refined our lifestyle. We've learned to control our conditions, our environments. So it's a lot better place to live as far as that goes. Our times now. But when you think about it, you're controlling your temperature, you're controlling the moisture in your home, your humidity. Why not control the levels of viruses and stuff in your home too?
Absolutely. So yeah, you're creating your own environment inside your home. You're listening. Gosh, I was trying to transition off that, Alan, but I wasn't smart enough. Anyway, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 99, News Talk 98.9, The Roar, Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Oh, I get it, Mr. Krabs. You told us the paint was permanent, so me and Patrick would be more careful and not get paint on anything.
Nah, I just like to mess with you.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Yeah, I've had bosses like that guy. And welcome to, that's why I'm self-employed, Alan. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson, Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, and our pal Max behind the glass, and the man himself, Larry Brown. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and communicate with us there. Alan, I think it's working against us. People are communicating, but they keep communicating about either Geeky Side TV or, obscure references that we make, or, Captain Kirk or something. People, stay focused. This is Tool Talk Radio. If
they want to talk about the convention, Joe, I'm going to text them back and talk about the convention.
Well,
we're
Larry's
having a good time.
Off air, that's the first thing. Anyway, can we stay focused, people?
Larry and I got sidetracked talking about venison, so I don't know where you were.
Well, in a minute, we're going to get back to our conversation with Larry Brown. But, Alan, I want to remind people of something important. Let's suppose you need a deck or a pergola or a patio cover or a dock. There was a period where I was building a bunch of docks for people in they had a lake in Germantown where all the neighbors suddenly decided they need brand new docks, which is fun. Well, give me a call. I already know what you're thinking. You're going, well, we're getting into December. It's the winter time, so I guess he's probably not going to build anything until the spring. Oh, you could not be more wrong, people. This is my favorite time of year to build. I like building in the winter because it's much more comfortable. It's easier to put a coat on, for one thing. If you get cold, it's much easier to stay warm than it is to cool off when it's 95 degrees in August. So give me a call. I'd be happy to, get the project rolling. And honestly, getting lumber is a little easier right now, too. So materials are easier to come by, and it's a great time to get those projects going. So give me a call directly at 901-921-7105, or you can go to my website, thorshomes.com, and shoot me a message that way. Well, Larry, hey, before we hit the break, we forgot to mention, you always give specials to our listeners, which we appreciate, and we didn't hit those. So I want to, before we dive back into our HVAC discussions, tell us what sort of goodies you brought for us today.
Well, I always try to bring some specials to the show. Obviously, we're in the heating season. I know a lot of folks will say, well, it's already December. We've still got a lot of cold weather in front of us. So if you haven't gotten your furnace tuned up and inspected, Now it's not too late to do it. We're offering a $69.99 tune-up special. We're going to come out and check your furnace out, make sure it's ready to go for the winter, safe to operate, and get it all, all ready to go. $69.99 for your first unit, $39.99 for each additional unit. So if you've got 2 units, 3 units, just do the math. We'll be glad to take care of you. If you're interested in a new Trane heating and air conditioning system, you can give us a call. We're going to give you 18 months no interest financing so you can enjoy it now and pay for it over the next 18 months, no interest at all. So that's a great opportunity to get you a new system. If you're interested in the Remy Halo, $100 off on our great Remy Halo products. It's pretty simple to install. In fact, if you wanted to get the service tune-up special and we could put your Remy Halo in at the same time, we could sure take care of that for you. So also I did want to mention that it's the St. Jude Marathons today. So everybody, please think about all the great things that St. Jude does. And we all need to give and donate because that's such a great organization that is right here in our hometown. We all need to support it. And if you got an opportunity to go down there and cheer those runners on, because that's what they're doing, is doing it for St. Jude and the kids. So take a minute to think about that. And again, if you have an opportunity to go down there and cheer those people on, they probably need it today. So
yeah.
Also, if you want to check us out on the web, you can check us out at brownref.com, or you can check us out on Facebook, or you can just give us a call on the phone, 901-362-1881. Love to hear from you.
Absolutely. So, and we've been advising everybody to flood your phone lines, Larry, and flood the switchboard. Is that the way they say it, Allan? And petition to get Mrs. Brown on the show. There's a growing movement. They want her to weigh in. We've already talked about what a funny lady she is and how she's very entertaining. You definitely married up, sir. Well played.
Well, I've known that for many, many years, Joe. So, but yeah, all right. You heard that, Mrs. Brown. You need to be on the show next time.
Yeah.
So we're going to plan on her coming next time.
Yeah, we'll see. I've heard that before, Allan. So, hey, Larry, this is something I don't know if I've ever asked you this on the air. You talk about these tune-up specials, and we always talk about, I don't know if you sold this well enough, but you guys also have great financing if you do have to replace an entire system. That's a big selling point. But I'm kind of curious, what are some of the most common minor problems that go wrong? Like I'm thinking, if you're doing a tune-up, I'm thinking of a car. Well, there's some things like that. So I'm thinking before a small problem becomes a big problem, what are some of those things you're dealing with there?
Well, and Allan's wanting to weigh in, but, first off, we're going to replace your air filter. So that's a big thing that you need to do. We're going to lubricate all the motors, anything on there that needs lubricating. We're going to check out, make sure all your flames are adjusted properly, clean your flame sensor, which is one of the important items on there, because if it gets dirty, you could have a problem with your heating system. And then, the main thing is we're going to give it a great inspection to make sure it's all ready to go, safe to operate. And because you've got a lot of stuff going on in a gas furnace, and you got to make sure it's safe to operate, because if you don't, there's potential for lots of bad things to happen. And then also we're going to check your ductwork, visually inspect it to make sure that something hasn't happened to it, that you're not blowing hot, warm air out in your attic space, that maybe a rodent's gotten in there, a squirrel, whatever, damaged your ductwork. So, we're going to take care of all those things for you and get it brought up to, factory specifications, make sure it's operating, again, as efficiently and safe as possible.
All right, Allan.
Well, the one thing I want to point out that the average homeowner can't really inspect or see is the separation between the air that goes into your house and the exhaust from generating the heat.
That's exactly right.
Oh, very good.
That, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot express to you how important that is.
Mm-hmm.
And if not every year, at least every few years, you need some professional eyes on that.
Mm-hmm.
That is a massive, massive life safety feature.
Yeah, it's interesting too, Larry. You were talking about there's components that you have to lubricate. The first thing I always think of is like obviously dirt and like the fins on the outside of your air conditioning system getting clogged up when people cut the grass and everything. But I never thought much about the oiling things and the lubrication part of it. But that sounds pretty critical, man.
Well, and exactly right. And Allan brought up a great thing that we have a camera system that we actually inspect the heat exchanger. So we're looking for cracks, rusted spots. You'd be surprised at any crack or defect in your heat exchanger could allow carbon monoxide to leak into your home. So, if you, and of course, any crack or any defect is too much. So, we're going to be able to not only bring your attention, but we'll take a picture of it and actually show it to you on our camera system. And, we'll make a decision on whether it could be repaired, replaced, whatever. But it's very important that there's lots of dangerous things going on in a gas furnace that needs to be taken, addressed and maintained yearly. You can't just neglect these things because, a lot of bad things can happen.
I got another. Sorry, I don't want to monopolize this, Larry. But when you're in house, I want to take advantage of this. So, I've seen in attics, like, okay, I've been up in an attic and I'll see the duct, the air ducts, and some of them they look really elaborate the way they're attached and the way they're distributed and the way they're laid out. And I've been on somewhere it looks like maybe they've been damaged or things like that. Have you ever had to do, I don't know if you'd call it a tune-up, but repair work like on the ducts? Like maybe they're leaking. Maybe somebody bashed into it with their Christmas tree when they shoved it up there for the year or something. But duct work maintenance, you could say.
Well, we do that, and of course that's not included in our little tune-up special, but we'll bring it to your attention and address it on an as-needed basis. But in fact, we're getting ready to start another one on Monday that's a whole duct system replacement where they had some unfortunately had some feral cats that were getting under the house.
Jeez.
And they just destroyed the ductwork under this very nice home off of Shady Grove Road, and it's going to require a whole duct system replacement. So it's important that you're making sure that your house is sound too, that you're not allowing rodents and like cats, raccoons, any of those items to get in your attic to damage your house.
It's an awful problem, but I got to salute those raccoons and those cats. They know they wanted the crawl space air conditioned, and they made it happen.
Absolutely.
Innovative thinking. You're listening to some innovative thinking here on Tool Talk Radio on 98 News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
You're making a plan while I'm being a man, just winging it.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
Absolutely. Good old Max bringing us the Aquabats to close out today. And Larry forgetting that the microphones are on. See, this is the kind of thing that would happen that your wife would not let you do if she came into the show. She would keep you focused.
Right. She needs to be here to control me.
Allan thinks, Larry thinks this is just all fun and games here, man. We got serious business to take care of, sir. Anyway, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios, Larry. I'm Joe Thorderson with Doors Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV and the very unprofessional Larry Brown, and our buddy Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, and you can see the item that we are about to address here, Allan, our must-have item of the week. I'm starting to wonder, Allan, if we should be giving out all this contact information, because everybody's calling us or everybody's texting us about things that really don't have to do with what we're discussing today. I mean,
dude, that's every week. What are you talking about?
Can you stay focused for 2 hours, people? But anyway.
No, they can't.
Let's shift gears. Larry, we've got our must-have item of the week here, and tell people what I'm holding up.
You are holding up the infamous manual spring clamp.
Yeah. Now this one, people, which is basically, Larry, you were mentioning this as we were coming in from break, that this is good exercise. It's like those workout things for your
little hand grips.
Grip strengthener or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a two-purpose tool, right?
This is great when you need. So basically, people, just picture you squeeze it, it opens, you can grab something instantly, and it's quick release, because we've got clamps, that involve twisting something,
Right.
or it's, this is where you need that extra pair of hands, and maybe you've only got one free hand to grab something. You might temporarily have to put something in place while you adjust it or while you cut it. I use these a lot when I'm on a job and I'm building a deck or a patio cover. A lot of times what I'll do, Allan, is I'll take those big 10-foot by 25-foot heavy-duty plastic tarps, and I create like a temporary shelter to keep keep the sun off of me, or keep the keep a little rain if it should start raining. And these clamps are great. You just pull it out, you clamp it up, and when it's time to close up, and they're inexpensive. I think I got a bag of these for like $8. So they're definitely a must-have item of the week, and they're fun if you're like a mean older brother and you want to pinch your younger brother or sister.
No.
They
Don't-
hurt.
Don't,
Yeah,
don't
they
encourage anything, Joe.
Yeah, we don't want to
Come on.
encourage child violence, but I can't promise things like this didn't happen when I was growing up.
Oh, I promise they did, but you cannot imagine how many of those are actually on a television set.
Oh,
when we're actually shooting shows,
Mm-hmm.
and you need something, you need that plant to stay right where you put it,
Yeah.
or you need to move something in the set. There have got to be 50 of those floating around every production set I've ever been on.
Sure, these things are.
We use them for everything.
Yeah, they're awesome, and sometimes that's the thing. We like to celebrate the simple items that make life easier. So that's what it is. So the must-have item of the week: a spring clamp, and this one's plastic, so it won't rust either.
Nope.
Actually, the inside will rust. Take that back.
Little
Don't leave
WD-40
these
would be
outside,
good.
people. The insides do rust. Okay. I got all those disclaimers out of the way. Hey, Larry, we're talking about.
Well, we're talking about moisture, rust, controlling your environment, not dying when you turn on your heat.
Well, you guys can, honestly, when I'm thinking with Brown Refrigeration, you're basically, okay, you go to Arizona and the environment is one way. You go to the Bahamas, it's another way. You go to Antarctica, and it's another way. Well, Larry, what you do is you allow people to create their own environment inside their home.
Exactly. So you want to, again, you're creating your own climate in your home to where you're comfortable, and so everybody's a little different. So some people like it a little warmer, a little cooler. So, you have that ability to adjust it, and, you can stay comfortable. And not only is it making you comfortable, but it's keeping your home, in a climate where all your furnishings and everything are they'll last longer, and they're not going to get extreme temperatures and extreme humidity levels to where, it's just going to be a pleasant place to be.
And if you had to talk about an ideal scenario, like I'll go into a home and there's some homes you go into and they're clean, everything's in its place, and there is what I would say a lack of smell. You know what I mean, Allan? That's to me is kind of what I'm all about.
Okay.
Like you're like, okay, I don't smell the mildew. I don't smell the cat hair. I don't smell the whatever.
That is such a huge clue, because if something smells musty, let's define what is musty. What you are actually smelling is the spores from different types of mildews or even molds.
Oh, right.
So if you smell something musty, you have something growing someplace you don't want it.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And of course, one thing that I was going to bring up is this Remy Halo is systems are wonderful for controlling odors.
Yes.
So if you cook something in your home that, like maybe you cook bacon or whatever, something that's a very aromatic, and you don't have to smell it for the next day. It's going to clean that odor up, and so it's going to make your home smell fresh and clean.
Yeah, the Remy Halo is a great, and for those of you who are maybe new to the show and you don't, or maybe you're new to this, what is this Remy Halo they're talking about? Basically, It is well, tell us what it is, Larry, because it's like the power of the sun inside your HVAC unit, right?
Well, yes, it's an ultraviolet light, but then it has some other features on there that create hydrogen peroxide molecules that actually flow in your home and help clean your home, not only the air but the surfaces of your home. So, it's just it does a great job in not only cleaning the air but help disinfect the surfaces of your home, and then also controlling odors. So it takes care of a multitude of issues in your home environment. So you got it conditioned, you've got it, the humidity control, the temperature's right. Now we're cleaning the air, getting all the nasty stuff that's floating around in the air taken care of. I mean, it's the best of all the worlds involved in keeping your home a certain climate in your home and keeping it clean and keeping it deodorized, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is we're always thinking of we've heard this since we've been growing up. Okay, you got to think about your diet. You got to think about what you're putting into your body. You got to think about the foods that you eat. Well, you also have to think about the air that you're breathing in.
Oh, yes.
24 hours a day. And I'm just thinking, here in the Mid-South, I know we're very prone to pollen, and also the air is different here, I will say, Larry. I've noticed it living in San Diego, and I lived in Arizona for a while, and then it's just different. And boy, you want that stuff, at least in your own home, to create the environment you want. Because I'm thinking that's part of a healthy diet, is having healthy air.
Exactly. And, especially, you think if you're in your home, you're spending hopefully at least 8 hours a day there. You're sleeping maybe, and you're spending a good portion of your day there. So you want to keep your environment clean, conditioned, and, it's going to disinfect it, get rid of all the nasty, germs, mold, pollen, all that kind of stuff. Remy is going to help mitigate all that.
Yeah. So, hey, Larry, this is something, too. I don't know. Like I said, I think we were a little remiss. There's sort of a central part of Brown Refrigeration that I really think we should showcase before we get out of here today. Let's suppose, we're talking about tune-ups and the $100 off the Remy Halo system and things. Well, let's just suppose you wake up today and you go to turn on your heater and the thing just, I don't know, it's completely failed. All of a sudden, you're coming into the winter faced with the prospect that you've suddenly got to buy a new HVAC unit that you were not planning for. Well, that might be a problem for some, but the financing can be a lifesaver, right? And you guys really do have great financing there.
Absolutely, and we can get most everybody financed. So again, 18 months no interest financing with obviously with your approved credit. We'll be glad to take care of it, get all your needs met. If you do have an emergency, or it's weekends, evenings, whatever, we're always available. 901-362-1881. Give us a call. If we can help you in any way, we'd be more than happy to.
Okay, so and then give us the specials again, Larry, because you should take advantage of this, folks. There are reasons to listen to Tool Talk Radio. It's beyond just the the dynamic conversation. You get deals. So tell us what these deals are.
So if you're interested in get your furnace tuned up, $69.99 service special. That's for your first unit, $39.99 for each additional unit. If you're interested in the new Train heating and air conditioning system, 18 months no interest financing, $100 off on our great Remy Halo products. And don't forget about the St. Jude Marathon today. Please go out and support those great runners and support St. Jude. We got a world-class organization here. We need to be local. We need to be supporting them in any way possible. Check us out on the web at brownref.com, Facebook, or you can just give us a call on the phone, 901-362-1881.
Absolutely. Yeah, so go to the, contact Brown Refrigeration, flood their switchboards, and I would dare say, Allan, flood their Facebook page with requests to get Mrs. Brown on the show. That is going to be the new movement.
You're just a one-man campaign for this.
It's going to happen. And then, but now the pressure's on. Now she's going to come on the show, and she's going to clam up, and it's going to be a train wreck. And we're
I don't think she's never clammed up, Joe. So
no.
I love you, honey.
Well, we met her in person, and from that moment, we're like, why the heck isn't she the one coming in to represent? No offense, Larry, but I mean, my gosh, she'd be great on the radio.
She's a much better ambassador for Brown Refrigeration than I'll ever be. So.
Well, yeah. I guess, is it smart? Is it wise to be ridiculing your main sponsor and everything?
All right, Joe, you and I are gonna have a little talk.
I never went to business school. Yeah. Anyway, well, what a show today, folks. Exciting. We learned history. We learned about clean air. We've learned it all, and we've gotten a bunch of obscure text messages that have nothing to do with it. So we've done our job, but the clock waits for no man, so it's time to get out of here. So on behalf of my friends Allan Gilbreth and Larry Brown and our buddy Max behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.